back to another video. Now I'm sure the eagle-eyed amongst you will have spotted already that we are at Cape Cornwall this evening, and though Cape Cornwall is the subject, or the main subject, the main interest tonight for tonight's sunset photography, and I do apologise, but it looks like it's going to be quite a clear sky tonight. If I come around, look, and if you can see that cloud just in there behind me, well, that's drifted inland quite quickly and is not over the top of the cape where I was hoping it was going to be. So unfortunately it does look like a bit of a clear sky sunset tonight, but never mind. My main objective here is to get to the bottom of the Kenidjack Valley, which, much like Trevellas Cove, is a former mining valley, very heavily mined around here. We've got a bit of a walk along this coastal path, and then we've got to drop down into the valley. Plenty of old mining artifacts down at the bottom of the valley. It's quite an interesting little place. So we'll take a wander down through there and see what we get. It's absolutely gorgeous here, though. I mean, look, see the little cottage there. I think it's probably a little holiday let, and someone's got their car parked up here. So we're going to take a little wander down through the valley. I'm going to stop and shoot anything that I find of interest along the way. There are a couple of compositions that I've looked at previously that I want to shoot. I'm not really going to talk about those as I go. I'm just going to take them, put them on the screen as I go. My main objective is to get to the bottom end of the valley for high tide and sunset, and try and talk you through some long exposure images looking out towards the beautiful Cape Cornwall. So go and see what we can find. So here we are, we've made it to the bottom of the Kenidjack Valley, and I'm really hoping you can hear me, because as you can probably see from the way my top is blowing, that wind has really picked up, funneling down through the valley here. Now, you remember when we were walking out, it looked like that sky was completely clear. Well, it turns out it isn't. There is actually some cloud up here in the sky, and in fact there is some cloud right over the top of the cape, which is looking really nice. The only issue that I've got with that is the sun is setting out here to my right hand side, your left, and it's actually just dropped into a bank of cloud. So while I've been trying to get set up, battling against this wind, I've already lost a lot of the light that I was hoping to use. I've also nearly had a bit of a disaster in that the tripod that you're actually sat on blew over just now with the camera on it. Thankfully nothing's been damaged, it's all okay. Anyway, I've got this set up, I've set the camera up, I've got my filters in place. Let's have a little look here. So I've got the 3-stop medium graduated neutral density filter in. I've got my 6-stop ND filter in, and that's because that bright light has gone. I don't need a 10-stop for this, but I still want to get that sort of upward of 30 seconds of exposure. We are set up at f11 and ISO is 100. So high tide, I mean, we're pretty much at high tide. I don't like to come and shoot here when it's low tide, to be honest with you, because it's quite a rocky beach. It's quite ugly, in fact. But once that tide is in, it's just absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to take a couple of shots, and if this wants to work, what's going on? All right, let's try that again. So let's take a couple of shots. We'll see what happens. Like I said, 30 seconds of exposure. There's not a huge amount of movement out there in that water at the moment as it is. So I think 30 seconds is going to come out looking quite nice. As I said, that sun has now dropped into the cloud over there. There is a hint of colour starting to come through in the cloud that's above the top of the cape. So fingers crossed, we might get a little bit of light in there. I did do a sunset shoot here earlier in the year, may have been February or March, and the light that night was beautiful, but of course at that time of the year the sun sets much further around and much closer to the actual cape itself. So yeah, there we go. That's looking absolutely gorgeous, that first photo. That's really, with the true color polarizer on there, it's really taking that glare off the water, because you are still getting some bright spots, and it's really smoothed that water out, and that is looking really nice, really sharp right through the image. I'm really quite pleased with that. Now the only thing I want now, as I said just now, is a bit of colour over the top of the cape, and then we'll be absolutely cooking on gas. So sunset is about 10 minutes away. Let's give it 10 minutes, let's see what happens. This is pretty much the view that I've got looking out across the bay here towards Cape Cornwall, and there you can see that cloud right over the top of the cape. Unfortunately, if I turn you around towards where the sunset is, can you see that cloud? And that bright patch of light there in that right hand side, that's where the sun is going to set. So I'm not 100% convinced that we are going to get any light in that cloud up there, but I'm not one that's easily deterred. I'm not going to run away until it's all over. Sunset is now about 4 minutes away, so we'll give it some time. We'll see what happens.
like I said, I can't guarantee anything. I've just been playing with the settings on the camera, and I'm actually at 45 seconds of exposure because that light has really started to go. So still at f11, ISO still 100, but I'm now at 45 seconds of exposure. Still the same setup with the filters, true color CPL, 6-stop neutral density, 3-stop GND, and that's made that image look really, really nice in there. So hopefully that's going to come out really well on the back of the screen. It looks lovely on the back of the screen. Hopefully it comes out really well when I get it home and process it and post it up for you to see. I hope you enjoyed the little wander down to the valley that we took earlier on. As with most Cornish mining locations, everything was run by steam. So you'll quite often find that there is a watercourse nearby, or there was a watercourse nearby. And in this case, you've got the Tregeasel River that runs down through here, past all the old buildings, winds its way down to the valley. Absolutely gorgeous. Really, really beautiful little valley. I really love coming down here. But this is not exactly the conditions I had in mind for this evening looking at the weather forecasts. But there you go. As we said before, there's nothing much you can do about it really. You just got to get on with it. So I'm going to play around with these settings a little bit more, might recompose my image a little bit, and we'll see how we get on. So as you can see, I've recomposed this image now into a portrait image, and what I'm doing, I don't know if you can see it or not, see these rocks just here. I'm using those as a lead in towards the cape over there, and that on the back of the screen is working really nicely. Again, ISO is at 100, f11, and the shutter speed's at 45 seconds. That's really smoothing out that water nicely. I mean, that cloud up there above the cape, despite the fact that it's not lighting up, and I don't think it's going to now because there's absolutely no colour out there. I don't know if you can, I'll bring you around, whether you can see, that colour has pretty much gone from out there. But the texture of that cloud over the top of the cape, I think, is actually working really nicely. So I'm actually quite pleased with it. It's got a beautiful bluey tone to the image. Sorry that you're being battered around a little bit, but this wind has gotten ridiculous. I'm actually having to hold the tripod now to stop it flying around. I've had to go over twice now, and I don't really want anything damaged, so I'm actually having to hold the tripod to prevent it going flying. So not what I was expecting this evening. But it's just absolutely beautiful down here. The blue tones in that sky and in the image that I've captured on the back of the screen, I'm absolutely loving. And I've got some beautiful movement, not only in the sea, but in those clouds that are coming over the top of the cape there as well. It's actually moving a lot faster than you realise. And I've actually got some beautiful movement just in the top left-hand corner, which you'll be able to see when the image goes up on the screen. I'm not sure if we're going to get much more here tonight, but the light that we've got here now, these light conditions, you may recall that when we were at Trevellas Cove, I was talking about the need for stable light, and hence sunrise and sunset is a really good time. And that's because, firstly, the angle of the light, because the sun is low to the horizon, you've got that light directly overhead. Light directly overhead, really, really harsh, as you probably saw in some of those images. But that light doesn't change as rapidly towards sunrise and sunset. Well, not that I find. When you've got the sun overhead and the clouds coming through and you get a dark patch because the cloud has moved in, then suddenly a bright patch, it can really, really ruin your low exposure image. But in these conditions, in this light, it's just stable, it's settled, and you can take the image and you're not going to get all that glare suddenly come in there. So that's what I'm talking about when I talk about the need for stable light when shooting long exposures. Again, in woodland with streams and things like that, you tend to get it no problem at all, simply because you get the trees filtering the light, and you just get that lovely balance. But yeah, here this evening, it's been a bit challenging with this wind. It really has been a bit challenging. But it's lovely and warm, don't get me wrong, it's lovely and warm, but that wind is very, very strong tonight. And like I said, you can probably tell from the way the camera's moving around that it's buffering me around a little bit. See if we can take another shot here a second while you're still there. But I don't think we're going to get an awful lot more. Like I said, that light is beginning to go, unfortunately. But who knows? Stay tuned, we might get something extra. We'll see what happens. So I've repositioned. I've come across the other side of the stream, and yeah, I thought it might be quite interesting to come across this side and try and take advantage of the movement in this water just down here in front of me, which I can see from the other side where I was just now, where I was shooting those other images. But I just think from here, I've got a much better look at what's going on, particularly some of these rocks down here in the foreground, and obviously the cape there with the clouds still over the top of it. There's sunset, there's our sunset tonight. That's all we're getting, folks. That we're not going to get that light that I've really hoped for. So at some point we may have to come back and do another video here. But if you are down here, I would just advise caution if you're crossing over, because there's quite a lot of rocks around here, and I'm not sure whether they were there before, whether they've come down from there. But it's not seeming too bad here at the moment. So I've got the camera set up. I'm shooting right now as I'm talking to you. So ISO I've pushed up to 200. We're still at f11, and the exposure time for this shot is going to be 4 minutes. And that shows you how much light we've actually lost. It doesn't look like it on the camera, I appreciate that, but it is actually, we've lost quite a bit of light. And I don't know if you can see, if I come up, there's the moon. Unfortunately, I think it's a little bit too high up for me to get it into a shot, but you never know. I'll have a look in a moment. I'll probably recompose the image again into a portrait shot, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, let's see how this exposure comes out, this 4 minute exposure, and fingers crossed it's looking all right. So there we go, folks. I've been playing around with a few compositions. I've moved around a little bit, taken a few shots, portrait and landscape orientation, all long exposures. Camera's there now, shooting another one. That's at 3.5 minutes this time. Just changed the settings around a little bit. I don't think I'm going to get much more out of this tonight. That light has really begun to fade now, and I've still got to climb back up out of this valley yet. So I'm going to let this one complete, let this shot finish, and then I'm going to make a move and head for home. All of the images that I've shot down here at the bottom and end of the valley, I will post those on at the end of the video when I finish talking to you. And I'm also going to post on a couple of sunset videos, a couple of sunset photos that I've done down here previously, to give you an idea of what I was really looking for this evening. It's just one of those things, you know, the weather app said one thing, and the weather's decided to do something completely different. So I suspect that this is a location we will return to again at another time, just because I have a particular image in my mind that I want to shoot, and I didn't get it this evening. So I think we will return again another time. But thanks for watching the video. That's been a bit of a different video, bit of a slight change to the format this time. Don't know that I'm going to stick with it, don't I particularly like it myself, but thanks for watching anyway. Please remember to smash a like on the video. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification button so that you're always up to date with all the videos being released. And here's those photos.